Welcome again, everyone, to Jerry's Old Guy Review. And today we're talking about RC four-wheel drive. So strap in for a healthy dose of honesty and things that you may or may not want to hear about RC four-wheel drive. So I'm going to tell you, there was two trucks that got me back, or should have said, got me into the crawler world, because as I've mentioned before, back in my early days, the Tamiya Bruiser, Tamiyas in general, Kyosho's, were making RC cars at the beginning that were more like the real cars you were driving. You know, a lot of things they couldn't replicate. The technology for RC cars just wasn't there. Well, in 2008, I want to say, was when I got this. It didn't look like this, but it is the Trailfinder 2, leaf sprung just like the old Bruiser. And I'll tell you what, it was just a detailed vehicle that got me thinking. Now I had the Axial SCX 10 and he needed a friend. Or I got him first and he needed a friend. I can't remember because I'm old and getting senile. But here you had a vehicle in stark contrast to the SCX 10, which was a bare bones workhorse to get people interested in rock crawling. Now, my thing was always get a truck, see what it could do, and then I go from there. Well, this truck, just like the SCX 10, the Trailfinder 2 was an interesting kit to build. I had not even gotten remotely a vehicle like that since the late 80s. Something that had leaf springs. The only thing that had leaf springs was my Tamiya semis. And this truck comes out replicating a real vehicle to include the leaf springs, metal axles, metal everywhere, metal differential that replicated a real full-size differential. What the hell, I had to buy it. And then building the kit. What a great kit to build. A TRX, wow. Off topic. The Trailfinder 2 was just a pleasant kit to build. Very simplistic, but very detailed. RC four-wheel drive, included the axles were already assembled, the transfer case was already assembled, the transmission was already assembled. You know, so all you do is open them up to see what it's like and grease them up if you want to get some more grease. Because at the time, you know, plastic things were one thing, but a stoutly built metal transmission, you know, you didn't want to be ripping that thing apart all the time. Now they're still plagued with the fact that they had, you know, parts that were already pre-assembled that didn't have thread lock on them or had too much thread lock on them, had the wrong size bolt in a hole. You know, that hasn't really changed. It's kind of, it's expected. You think something's weird if you get a ready to run from RC four-wheel drive that it doesn't have the mystery bolt laying in the bottom of the box, or if you get a kit that some pre-assembled parts are going to be assembled wrong. It's kind of like that comforting thing that you just know, you just expect it, so it doesn't really chap your ass when it happens. But you know, TRX, or wow. If you can't tell, I was screwing around with TRX4s today. But Trailfinder 2 originally was the kit. You know, they were rudimentary at best. You had the weird yellow body that you had to paint, and they called it a Mojave, but we all know that it was a Tamiya Hilux body. Or actually, it's on the Hilux, but it was the original Bruiser body. So that wasn't a big issue, but at least when Tamiya came out, they had the stickers and everything, so you could make it a Toyota. This way you had to wait for Rc4wd drive to release the metal decal sheet. But they really ran for a long time. You had the Trailfinder 2, you started being able to get it in a kit. Then you had a long wheelbase, you had a short wheelbase. And then the Marlin came out, which was Rc4wd drive's attempt to listen to the customers and try to make a truck that was a little more off-road capable. But you have to understand, even in the real world, a leaf-sprung crawler is not as efficient as a coil-sprung suspension. So, you know, there was the little things, real-world guys, you know, like on the old CJ Jeeps, you disconnected the sway bar links up front. More articulation, but still you were limited. And that's what the Trailfinder 2 was all about. Realism, realism, realism. And what a lot of people didn't realize is that a leaf spring truck will get better as you break in the leaf springs. So now, let's move over to a fancier version of the Trailfinder 2 that has not had, you know, this. It's got a dual spring setup or a dual shock setup. You know, not, I really have to push on it. But if you look at a Trailfinder 2 that has been broken in with many years on it, it's like butter. And you even get the Toyota sag in the back, which for a few $100, I took the old Warhorse and completely redesigned it. I had these wheels and tires for a different project. They're the first, before they were even putting them on ready to runs like they're doing now. They're the 155s, which fit perfectly with the scheme I had in my head. It's got, I put on some new running boards. Of course, the new body, exhaust. I put some boots on the shocks. But this thing now is so buttery smooth, the way, how realistic it looks crawling around, because the leaves are broken in. And you can only do that by weighting them down or just constantly driving it. Now this one, you know, haven't driven it very much, and it's just still stiff. But then the powers that be decided that they needed a coil sprung, non-leaf sprung vehicle. And that's where the Gelande 2 came out. Now this has always been buttery smooth. And it looks, to me, so good. Now the shocks are not oil filled. They're just basically dampers. But to me, being that it's supposed to be an old truck, having it be very soft is more realistic. And that is what Rc4wd drive boils down to. Realism over pure functionality. There is not one RC four-wheel drive that you could put up against an Element, the Red Cat, Axial. They're not going to be on the same level. You can make them that way, but RC four-wheel drive is proud of their product, and you pay for it. And with that being said, if you want me to pay what you want, let's figure out scale. An 80s 4Runner, a late 70s, early 80s Chevy Blazer, an FJ40. These vehicles, all three of these, represent some excellent, excellent bodies, which are completely unscaled. The FJ should be closer to the size of the 4Runner. The FJ was Toyota's version of a CJ, of a Jeep CJ. Not even close in the scale. This is ginormous. Should be small, like this. This Blazer should be enormous compared to this. Both of them TF2s, but very similar in size. The Blazer is only a wee bit bigger. Should be much bigger. Should be more like this, and this should be more like this. So they don't even exist. Luckily, this Gelande 2 with the Land Cruiser body on it is closer in scale to the Red Cat, because the International Scout and the FJ40 were similar in size, just like the Scout is longer, but width-wise very similar. So the scale size is the only thing that chaps my ass with RC four-wheel drive. Now, I will tell you that when you have, let's not even conclude this one, because this one was more to kind of showcase a bunch of products together that RC four-wheel drive provides. And there's certain parts and pieces on it a lot of people like, but I don't think it lends to the details of the vehicle. But now the Gelande 2 and the original TF2, now these two, the detail is on, the components are on, it's just the scale. And with the prices you pay, RC four-wheel drive, as I said, is proud. So you pay a pretty good price. But if you are detail orientated, then that price is tolerable. But what you're going to gain in the details, the drive, I don't know. You're going to have to really weigh that in your mind. To me, the initial truck, the initial TF2 as a kit was great. And, the fact that the drivetrain, the differentials, the transfer case, I've had zero issues with it. And that's why I got a complete facelift. The Gelande 2, I wanted just for the Toyota body, and it succeeds with that. But at the time, I didn't have anything that matched this crazy scale. But now I do. So to me, now this is worth it. I went and I did a lot of doodadding on this, because in 2019 I had my neck surgery and I couldn't do much for a month. So this was what I did for a month, right here. I overhauled the workshop and bought this truck to spend a month with. And I bought the truck. I got the aftermarket bumper for it. I detailed everything on it. I got the wiper motor housing. I got the snorkel. It's got a winch on it. You know, but I just enjoy watching it. Now, to a lot of you, is that worth the price just to see it out driving? Maybe not. Now, the relaxation it gives your soul to just enjoy watching an RC car that you may have built from scratch, out there driving around, and incredibly detailed, yes. That is what I use my RC four-wheel drives for, are just for relaxing drives. And as usual, see what it can do. You know, when you spend this kind of, that's the catch-22 with these kinds of vehicles. Do you want to spend all that time and effort painting these just to go roll them down a rock pile? A lot of you will say yes. Some of you will say no. So I say to the people who don't want to damage them, you know, hey, you can always touch it up. If something breaks, you can always mend it. This truck, which is the most expensive of the three, you know, you guys seen the video from last year where I rolled it. And I got so many hand to God comments. I am sorry, the hand to God was not working that day. You know, the Holley engine that's in there, or the engine that's in there with Holley valve covers, you know, that's a sweet little bit of kit. You know, I made a video on this one where I have now fixed the initial issue, but I just haven't finished tinkering with it. This is one of those, it's going to be a show queen that will go out and run, but you know, how often do you open the hood to see that you have a fully functioning looking engine in there? Not a big thing to a lot of people. And now the TF3 has come out, which, you know, I don't know in my mind, did they change enough? Is it different enough that I need it? Is it different enough to spend $500 on it? Don't know. This TF2, my longest runner, has got my own electronics that I put in it because it was a kit. So the Gelande 2019, still running all the stock electronics, haven't had a problem with it. Both have light kits. The TF2 Blazer Limited Edition, 2018 I want to say, I got that when it first came out. You know, it's got a light kit, and you know, I'm still trying to overhaul the dash so it sits in the right. It's that little thing, little bits. But the Gelande, I bought, I put it in a service, I changed the tires on it to ones that are more scale, which happen to be old axial flat irons, well, Pro-Line flat irons, but they came with all the old axials. So I had a few. Same thing, there's flat irons on the Blazer. RC four-wheel drive just can never quite get the tires right, but you know, that's the cheapest part if you're going to fix something, because most of their axle or most of their rims are beadlocks. So where's, you know, I'm sure you might have a set of tires floating around, but there is my opinion with RC four-wheel drive. I really like some of them. You know, is it enough for you to decide? I bought them because of their detail. So because of their detail, I'm not as concerned with their abilities. But don't be confused. their abilities are still impressive, but they are very, very scale. So if you buy an RC four-wheel drive, expect more scale realism in the drive of the truck. And that, to me, the drive of the truck, it's more exciting to see that my truck can do something that I thought it couldn't do, compared to I pulled it out of the box, it should be able to do everything, but it doesn't. So that is my philosophy, always has been on most RC cars. You can tell me how great it is, and you can tell me it's going to do something. It better do that one thing. But I would rather be excited by the fact that, hey, you said it couldn't do this, and I just did it. So I can say for me that I love RC four-wheel drive. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about RC four-wheel drive, and let me know if you're on the same sheet of music with me of RC four-wheel drive. You have to weigh the detail to performance, and then we'll have a conversation. So I will talk to you in the comments. Bye-bye.